Hi guys, Squaller here. Welcome to a special video. Today, as I'm recording this, it's the 2nd of April 2019, and the 2nd of April is the day 4 years ago when I went full-time. I quit my job and I went full-time as a content creator. So the 2nd of April is an anniversary for me, if you like it. And I've been doing it for 4 years now, this full-time thing, and I'm about to start my 5th year, which is just simply amazing. It's amazing that you guys love this stuff that I do, that you come and watch, that you watch on YouTube and Twitch, that you support what I'm doing here, and that I'm able to create something that, you know, frankly, you enjoy, something that makes you happy. That's very rewarding for me. And I wanted to make a video today because, well, to celebrate that anniversary and also to let you know what events I'm going to go to this year, because there's one thing I've not done properly over the last 4 years, and that is to communicate when I'm going to be going to events so that you can come along and I can meet you guys. And you know, I've never really done it. I've never properly laid things out, but that's going to change because I've now got a spreadsheet. I've got a spreadsheet with dates in it, and I'm going to tell you where I'm going and when I'm going, so that if you want to, you can get your things in your diary and book tickets or whatever and come and see me at these various events, and it would be great to meet more of you. I've met loads of you already, but I would love to meet more of you. Anyway, so where we are today, I thought we'd take a quick flight whilst I talk. We're going to fly. This is Earls Colne. This is my home airfield. It doesn't exactly look like this, but it's not a bad representation of it. This is like the perimeter road. The planes are normally sort of, they hang out here. Most of them are Robins here. There's a Cessna. I think there's even a PA Warrior over here. This is the actual, the building. This is the air school, if you like. You go in there. There's a door there. And there's normally a burger van there. That's not shown either. This is normally a giant door with Cavendish Aviation inside. They kind of maintain and restore aircraft. And then there's a normal door there. That is where the Essex and Herts Air Ambulance helicopter is hangared. And that gets towed out to this platform here, and you can see it coming and going quite regularly if you hang out at the airfield. We're going to take off out of runway 24. This is 06 here. We're going to come the other way, 24. Which, if you've ever watched one of my real flying videos, you'll see me at this airfield before, so you'll recognise it. We're going to fly to Southend, which is roughly over there to the south. It takes about 15 minutes to get to Southend. And what I'm going to do is, I'm not going to fully concentrate on the flying because I want to talk about stuff, but I'm planning on flying to Southwood and Ferrers. Southwood and Ferrers is what they call a VRP. It's a visual reference point for Southend. So as you're kind of approaching Southend airspace, and you call them up and say, you know, basically I want to come in and land, they'll often give you VRPs to fly to, and Southwood and Ferrers are one of them. Once you get to Southend, they generally sort of vector you in to either a downwind or a base leg to land. So I'm just going to kind of roughly fly that, but we're not going to focus too much on the flying today. I'll also talk to you a little bit about my flying as we take the video, and we'll go through some of the dates and where you can meet me. So anyway, I've checked the magnetic compass. It should be lined up. Yep, looks like it's lined up correctly. My heading bug for my initial heading is going to be about 200, which is about there. Lights and stuff, we don't need the strobes yet. What's it done? Because it auto started this thing. Nav taxi, that's fine. Don't need the fuel pump. Mixture needs to go to rich now. Right, okay, let's get a move on. Release the brake. And we shall move over here. This is normally the fuel pumps are here, so you quite often have to sort of navigate between an aircraft on your left and the fuel pumps over there. And generally what happens is I will taxi down here, and just outside of that, if we're doing 06, we'll have to do all of our checks here. But if we're going to go to 24, which we are today, we'll generally, there's like a hangar down here. There's an aircraft normally moored up along here. And this is where I will just quickly turn in. I'll do a quick sort of S shape where I can check that everything is running. So you kind of, as you make a turn, in fact we'll do it. Why don't we just do it and I'll show you rather than trying to explain it. What you're doing is doing some of the checks that you need to do, pre-takeoff checklists. Specifically, you're looking for the compass to turn you're looking for the DI to make a turn. So if I make a turn here, watch what happens. The compass will make a turn, the DI will make a turn, so it's turning clockwise. That's turning clockwise as it should. We've got slip, and the attitude indicator is stable and erect, as they call it. So it's, in other words, it's flat. What that basically means is it's testing some of your systems out. The vacuum pump's working, therefore the attitude indicator's staying level, the turn coordinator's all working, and the DI and the compass are sort of agreeing with each other about, you know, which direction we're turning in. So they're just some of the checks that you'll often do as you're coming down here. If you're doing 06, you'll need to do that way further back. Now also, as you taxi down here, you'll often get rabbits running across in front of you, particularly in summer. And there'll be birds that kind of take off and, you know, as you sort of taxi past. And also, I wouldn't be taxiing at this speed normally. In terms of the real flying, it's been a bit of hit and miss. I obviously did my PPL last October, completed that. I focused on my night rating over winter. I managed to complete my night rating, which allows me to fly at night, obviously, after sunset. And since then, the weather's turned a little bit foul, a little bit nasty, and just as the weather became nice again, the plane that I fly, which is a Cessna 172, just like this one, although this one's got slightly better equipment, went into maintenance, and it's currently in maintenance, which means I am scheduled to fly next week. So I'm going to go somewhere. Then after that, I'll start looking at doing some flights and putting my cameras in the plane again, and we'll make some real flying videos. And I'm kind of planning on doing something along the lines. I mean, I don't know if you guys have got any ideas about this, but I was kind of planning on doing something along the lines of doing a flight in the sim, using the Orbex scenery that I've got here, and then doing it in the real world and kind of, you know, showing you how to do both. So it's something that you could fly along with if you wanted to, because you can do it in your sim. But also it's kind of educational, because in the real world you obviously you have all the radio comms to deal with as well, and the airspace restrictions and stuff. So I just thought it would be fun and educational and useful. But if you've got any other ideas, just let me know. Right, we're sort of lining up here, and this is where we'll, you know, just do our sort of final checks. So I'll stick the strobe light on, taxiing come off, landing light can come on now. Mixture is rich. If we had a carb heat, we'd make sure it was on cold, and you'd normally put the fuel pump on a Robin, and even on a Warrior, but on a 172 you don't normally put it on because the wings are above you, so the whole system is gravity fed. Whereas on like a Warrior and stuff with an underwing, you have the fuel pump on for takeoff and landing, because it's basically a backup system in case the pump, the mechanical pump fails. The electric pump will take over. But on a Cessna, of course, the fuel is up on the wing up here, so it's all gravity fed. So this is really only sort of a backup system. So you don't normally turn it on. Anyway, let's take off. So initially, we're going to be rotating around about 55 knots in the 172. That's our rotation speed, and then we're looking to climb out at 78. That's our best climb. So it's around about 80, 78, 80. We're not going to split the hairs here. Holding the runway heading, making sure the slip ball indicator's in the middle there. And we're just going to head out on 2-4. We're going to take off on the tarmac runway, which is this thin one here. The tarmac runway is really the winter runway at Earls Colne. It's thin. It's barely wider than this taxiway. But it does make you accurate at landing and taking off, but it is nothing like a big runway. The grass one, of course, is much wider, and we'll use that one in the summer, and it's a nice soft landing as well, so there is that bonus. But, you know, certainly in winter, we use the tarmac, and only the tarmac one is lit up as well, and it actually has an abbreviated PAPI, which I don't think it's shown on here. Oh yeah, there's a couple of lights there. There's an abbreviated PAPI system, Earls Colne, which is what I was using for my night rating. Anyway, let's get the brakes off and taxi over, and we'll start our takeoff. We're going to turn left after about 700 feet. We're on the Q&H, by the way, so after about 700 feet, which will equate to almost 1,000 on the altimeter, we're going to be a right one left turn, and we're going to be looking at that heading for about 200, something like that. So, income. Actually, looks like they've got a full PAPI here on the sim. It's actually abbreviated PAPI, though. So it has 2 lights instead of 4. Right, airspeed's building. There's 55, and we'll take our climb, and we'll just keep the nose down a little bit. Just keep it coordinated, let the airspeed build up. There we go. And then we'll hold that attitude for about 80 knots. I'm just trimming up as well, just to take some of the weight off the control surface. Engine's temperature and pressure is all good. Nose up a little bit more. There we go. So we've got it trimmed out now. Maintaining that runway heading. Nose down a touch. Normally in the real aircraft, you would get used to roughly where the horizon is relative to the aircraft. But in this, it's a little bit different because I've got this like track IR going. Oh, and I hope you enjoyed that video that I put out on the super widescreen. Sadly, I couldn't keep that thing. I had to send it back. I was crying when they took that. So I've gone back to a single screen flying with track IR. Dark times, eh? But yeah, I see a lot of you enjoyed that video. I think it was the style I did it in you quite enjoyed. I just did it in a kind of a relaxed, informative style. But, you know, it was amazing just to try all that stuff out. Right, we are 1300 on the QNH. We're heading roughly 200, and we're going to continue the climb. And I'm going to talk about some of the events that I'm going to be going to. Now, just to mention that we're going to Southwold and Ferrers, this should be roughly Whittam. Actually, where are we? Yeah, that's Coggeshall there. Coggeshall is a town near Earls Colne. You can see the road going around it. It's very distinctive, Coggeshall, when you're coming in. It's quite handy as a reference point. But we should see Whittam, which is down here. And that's got an industrial area in it. So the Orbix scenery really, really helps when you're doing visual flying, because it is so very, very good. Should probably want slightly less than 200 for the direction that we're going in. So, events and stuff. Let's talk about events and stuff that you can come along and see me. The first one is actually in a couple of weeks' time. That's going to be TwitchCon EU. TwitchCon EU is the new TwitchCon. They've only ever done TwitchCon in the US before on the West Coast, which I have been to once. But this one's in Europe, and apparently going to be every year. So the first one is actually in Berlin. It's at the Berlin City Cube, and that's going to be on the, I think it's the weekend of the 14th of April. So I'm just focused on the flying. I'm just going to, because we're hand flying here, I'm just going to level out at 2.5. There we go. Put the nose down, let the speed build up a bit, and then back off on the throttle a touch. There we go. Yeah, there's Whittam. You see it? There's the industrial bit of Whittam. Again, it's another one of those visual things that's quite distinctive. So yeah, TwitchCon EU on the weekend of the 14th of April. I shall be there. I don't know what I'm doing yet. It's a little bit disorganised, TwitchCon EU, because it's the first one, I think. They've not organised it particularly well, so I don't know if I'm going to be able to stream from there. I don't know if there's a meeting area. I know very little at the moment, but I will obviously post on Twitter and stuff, so if you are going to TwitchCon EU, definitely follow me on Twitter, because that's the best place that I can update, you know, any meetups that I'm going to do or where I am at TwitchCon. Should be a good event, but like I say, it's not terribly well organised at the moment. So I'm just hand flying this. After that, the week after that, actually, Insomnia I-64 at the NEC in Birmingham, which is in the UK. 19th and 20th of April is, you know, if you can make it to the NEC, which is in the middle of the UK and very well connected train-wise and motorway-wise. 19th and 20th of April, I think that is the Easter weekend, so Easter holiday period. It's a 4-day event, but I'm only going to be there on the Friday and the Saturday, the 19th and 20th, and then I'm going to get back to streaming. That's at the NEC in Birmingham, so I will mostly be at the Asus ROG booth, and I am going to be streaming live from there as well. So that's going to be quite cool if you can make it to that. After that, we've got Truckfest. Now the Truckfest, there are like 5 Truckfests in the UK through the year. I only go to one of them, and that's the big one, Truckfest Peterborough. That's on a May Day bank holiday weekend, the 5th and 6th of April. So it's on a Sunday and a Monday. The Monday's a bank holiday in the UK, a public holiday. That's at the East of England Showground in Peterborough. So, you know, just literally in the next 5 or 6 weeks, you can meet me potentially 3 times. Probably once is enough, but you know, you could potentially meet me 3 times. After that, we're into June. Now, June, it sees me go over to the United States. I'm going to go to Orlando. Last year, the Flight Sim Expo was at Las Vegas, and this year it's at the SeaWorld Center in Orlando, Florida. I've never been to Florida or Orlando, so I'm actually going to take a bit of a vacation. I'm going to take a 2-week vacation and go out there and enjoy Florida, because I've never actually been. But the actual expo is on the weekend of the 5th, it's on the weekend of the 8th and 9th of June at SeaWorld in Orlando. So I'm just having to focus here because I'm conscious that we should be coming up on... There should be like an estuary. I think I can just about make it out, an estuary here. And Southwold Ferris is quite a big town there. That's what we're looking to hit. So we should be roughly on course. He says, flying and talking. So I'll be at the FS Expo. I am a media partner. I plan on doing something new this year. Something I've never done before. Because what normally happens is I go to these events, I take my cameras, I get a load of footage, and then I come home and there's too much to edit. You know, all the work is backlogged, I need to stream, make videos, and I don't get a chance to edit it all. It's a real issue. So this year I'm planning on buying a laptop, and I'm going to take the laptop and the cameras, I'm going to film stuff in the day, and then I'm going to edit it in the evening. So I'm going to try and get videos out while I'm actually out there in Orlando. It is a holiday, so don't expect too much, but I am planning on just covering some stuff, particularly like the expo and me in Orlando. I've never done vlogs before, but maybe that's something you guys would like to see, me sort of wandering around Florida and enjoying myself. We'll see. We'll see what content comes out of it. But if you want to meet me, 8th and 9th of June at FS Expo in SeaWorld, Orlando, Florida. After that, you're basically into August, another Insomnia. Same location, NEC. I-65, 23rd, 24th of August I'll be there. No other details yet because it's a bit far in terms of planning, but 23rd, 24th of August, if you want to put it in your diary. Again, that's normally a bank holiday weekend, and I'll be at the NEC. That's normally a big one. It's normally very busy in August and very sunny and stuff, so it's actually a great event. And then after that, we're into October, where I'll be at the Flight Sim Show, which is at RAF Cosford. Now, there's nothing published date-wise, but normally it's on the first weekend of October, which is the 5th, I think. There was rumours they were going to do a 2-day event instead of a 1-day event, but there's nothing definite yet. But pencil it in for the 5th of October at RAF Cosford. I may go to other events in the year. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put all the events I've just mentioned into a spreadsheet, and in the video description will be a link to that spreadsheet, so you'll always be able to go and check it. Just go and, you know, bookmark the spreadsheet, go and check it every now and again, and, you know, see if you can make it and come along to any of the events you fancy. Whether you're, you know, into trucking, come to Truckfest, into flying, you know, come to the Flight Sim Show or the Flight Sim Expo. And if you're into just gaming in general, come to Insomnia, or even TwitchCon EU, whatever takes your fancy. It would be great to meet all of you. I will try and get some swag put together, some caps and things like that. So, you know, if you do put the effort in and come to meet me, then, you know, hopefully I can give you a bit of swag. Can't carry too much, of course, and, you know, depending on how many people rock up, I may not be able to make everybody happy with a bit of swag, but I will try. I will try. This is Southwold Ferris right underneath us, and that is the estuary. So we're just entering controlled airspace at this point. And what normally happens at this point, you've already called up Southend. They will tell you to proceed to the Southwold Ferris VRP. They will say to you, you're cleared to enter controlled airspace. So we'll enter this airspace. They'll normally see us approaching Southwold Ferris, but if they don't, we'll say to them, overhead Southwold Ferris VRP, and they will normally at that point take over and vector us into a final. That's normally what happens, but obviously it can change on the day. But what we're going to do is we're going to make a left turn shortly and start following that estuary, and we'll begin descending down from 2,500 to about 1,500, which will make sure that we can still see roughly what's going on, because we are completely visual here. But Southend is more or less, at this point, just off to our left there. Right, so what I'm going to do is we're going to back off on the throttle. Normally you would pull the carb heat out at this point. but this particular one's, I think, fuel injected. So we're going to go for like a cruise descent, so we just back off on the power. We more or less keep the airspeed going in a cruise descent. It's effectively, what it's effectively doing is descending whilst maintaining the same sort of ground speed or airspeed, depending on which orientation you're on. But here we go, we follow this estuary. We're coming down a little bit too fast, to be honest. Normally you'd sort of go for like a 500 foot per minute descent rate. But, you know, that's it. It'd be something like that. I've just trimmed it out. It's something along these lines. And we'll just bring ourselves down to 1500 and keep the speed going. Make sure the aircraft's coordinated. And these landmarks, these kind of towns and rivers and things, they're really good landmarks for when you're doing visual flying, which is why they're used when you're VFR. And off to our right, can't quite zoom in, off to our right is the airfield. And at this point you'd be given a heading normally, and then you'll be told at some point coming along here, turn right, 165, report base for 25. You know, that kind of thing is the normal instructions you'll be given. But what I'm going to do is we'll keep going a little bit. I think this little kink is normally where they sort of tend to turn you to get you on, but if there's like other traffic coming in, it's just leveling out there. If there's other traffic coming in, then you might be like number 2 or number 3 coming in. They might have like an Airbus landing, that kind of thing. So they'll keep you going down this way a little bit longer if you're number 3. Otherwise, they'll just turn you straight in and ask you to report on base. So what we'll do is we'll make a right turn now and get things set up. Let's just descend slightly. That should be the airfield off to our right. And we're looking for like 1,000 foot pattern altitude, that kind of thing. There we go. Now Southend is more or less at sea level. So its QNH is almost exactly equivalent to QFE. And there you go. Now we're visual with the airfield right over there. So this is where you'd normally be doing your checks and stuff, but we're on our base leg, and what we'll do now is we'll slow down, bring our speed back, so that we can engage the first notch of flaps. So we need to be about 85 in the arc, like there, now. So we'll get our first notch of flaps in. Make sure we keep... There's the threshold. Now with Southend, let's get a second. We're looking at about a 60, 65. Well, normally you go for about 75 on base, and then 65 on your final is what you'd normally aim for. So I'll just pitch down a little bit. Keep the speed going. You don't want to get too low, because I don't know if you can see it, there's some power lines here. I can't remember if they're there in real life, to be honest with you. I don't think they are. But I'm fairly sure they're not, but I'd need to double check now. I'm good questioning myself. Okay, so we would now go with... oh, I left the landing lights on. Oh well. Leave the landing lights back on. I was more talking rather than doing checks and stuff. Yeah, so with Southend, we normally vacate around Charlie, which is way down the runway, and it's a long runway, this one. So it's fine to sort of float a bit. You want to be landing a third in or halfway in sometimes. Otherwise, you'll be taxiing for... Like, the last time I landed there, they basically said to me, can you expedite your taxi off the runway, because they had like an Airbus coming in. Right, final stage of flaps. Now we're looking for about 65 knots. Got to keep that airspeed going though. We've got one light in the pappies. There we go, 65 coming in. So we'll basically aim to overshoot this somewhat. We're 30 degrees of flaps. The difference between 20 and 30 is massive on this plane. Like 30 creates so much more drag. There we go. So yeah, we'll just keep our speed going a little bit. Don't normally clean up until we get off the runway, but we'll do it just so that we can speed up a bit more. Now we're going to go past Bravo. I think we just went past Bravo. We're looking for Charlie. Charlie should be just on the left here. Start slowing down. Yeah, this is exactly what I had to do when I flew air last. I had to bolt it down the runway. As soon as I crossed this threshold, I heard the guy call in, say, you know, cleared to land. And then sure enough, a big EasyJet came in right after me. But as I got to hear it, after he put that call in, he thanked me for clearing the runway quickly, because otherwise that Airbus would have had to go around. He took a bit of a gamble bringing me in. There we go. So anyway, this is Southend. Now, Southend is an international airport. They have EasyJet running out of here and various other carriers. But normally, the terminals are located on the outside. And then on the inside here is where they normally put the GA parking. Often there'll be a marshal that will turn up and he'll sort of guide you in and make you U-turn around here. Southend, though, doesn't really have an FBO, so there's nowhere to go and have a cup of tea and a coffee and pay your landing fees and that kind of thing. What tends to happen is you get a bill in about 3 weeks' time for your landing fee. It's a bit of a strange setup for an airport which is an international one, but that's the way it is. You know, if you do come here though, if you bring your like your medical certificate, passport, flying license, that kind of thing, all the paperwork in other words, because if you actually leave the airport, you go through the customs bit there, go leave the airport, there's actually, let's go external camera, there's actually a hotel here, like a tower block hotel. You can go up about 5-6 floors and there's a cafe on top. And it gives you a cracking view of the airport. Like you can see all the you know, the Dash 8s coming in and the A320s coming in, the GAs coming in. It's great. It's really good. If you just plane spot up there for a bit, it's wonderful. In fact, you could do that without flying in. You could just go to that hotel and just watch. But in terms of an FBO for pilots, it's non-existent. Unlike Norwich. Norwich is great for that. But anyway, it's enough nonsense. In the video description is a link to the events that I'm going to this year. Today is the start of my 5th year as a content creator. I would like to just thank all of you guys who support me with watching my videos, sharing my videos, watching the streams, supporting the streams, like anything and everything that you do to make sure that I can carry on doing this and giving you content that you enjoy is wonderful, and I thank you all for it. So as I begin my 5th year, expect some more videos on flying, simming flying, and also real-world flying. I do start my instrument rating in July. I've booked all that in with my instructor, so that's going to be interesting, but that will let me fly in non-VFR conditions, but I'll talk more about that in sort of future videos. For now, though, thank you so much for 4 years of full-time content creation to you guys, and I shall see you all very soon. Take care, guys. Happy flying.